The Healing Hour for March 12th, 2019. So welcome to the Healing Hour and welcoming Cindy Johnson to the call. I'm very excited that we're going to be jointly working on this project. And what we're interested in is changing the timelines, the default line, energy timelines for planet Earth. And this is really Julie's, this is really Cindy's expertise. And she's written a book about changing timelines. So Cindy, why don't you give us an overview of what you mean by timelines and why is this the default timeline and why do we want to change it?
So shifting timelines came to me after I spent a bunch of time in South America. I'm a trained shaman working with the elders from Peru mostly. I've worked with the elders from Mexico and parts of Canada. But my main teachings, my main knowledge base comes from Peru. I've been practicing and studying for about 15 years, been in metaphysics for almost 20. The medicine idea came to me around timelines after spending time in a medicine ceremony in Ecuador in January of 2017. And I was guided to the fact that we are living in timelines at this time that are old and ancient and they're very dense in energy for those of you who are energy healers and workers. A lot of history has gone down on the planet. A lot of history has gone down in the universe, and all of that energy is stored somewhere. And in the writing of the book, I was granted a vision, a diagram of the communication fields that exist in and around us and the earth itself. And the communication fields are connected to, best way to describe it is vibration, but there's a collective timeline, there's personal timelines, there's family timelines. And all of those timelines are basically momentums or themes of experience. And the most simplified explanation is, it is a momentum you are living. And we are connected to both our family timelines and we're connected to our own timelines. And then we have a collective timeline. And the biggest piece we're dealing with right now is the timeline of oppression. Compression, oppression, slavery, reduction of power. And it's a really big timeline that's been in and fueled around this planet for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And we need to clear the grids that have all this information stored within them. Otherwise, the timeline keeps coming, and it keeps affecting us, and we keep having to revolt and fight and battle. And so I work two worlds. I work the mainstream world where I'm working at revelation and bringing as much information forward as to how we are oppressed and suppressed. That's one side of the business. But the other side is, okay, clear the grids as fast as we can with powers and ancient technologies such as dowsing and energy clearing work, so that we're no longer stuck in this timeline. And when I met Tyhson last year, I had a conversation with him. He may or may not remember this, but I said, we need to work bigger. We can't work at the level of the challenge anymore because people can't reset unless we clear the timelines. And that's now come to what I'd call and maybe you can speak to this, Tyhson, we've come to a turning point where there's enough mass on Earth to shift this, but there's also enough mass with the suppression and the slavery timeline running that we may not be able to if we don't clear the energy connected. So I got moved to action very harshly. Tyhson can confirm I was a redhead in May and I'm white haired now. It was like the hammer came down on me and said, go to work or lose the planet. That's what I was told. And so I've been working at two levels, but I need help. I need people that are awake and aware, and someone like Tyhson who has access to large collective of human beings who care and are awake to do some bigger work. We need to go to work.
Yeah, I think the important thing to remember is that in a prison planet or lockdown planet, or if you've seen the movie The Matrix, that the default program running on this planet is basically slavery.
Yeah.
We're a harvest planet where our energy is drained through fear, doubt, shame, guilt. That energy then literally gets to be fed by other species, which is when I first discovered that, to be honest with you, somebody had said this like 15 years ago to me, that, hey, there's species that feed on your negative energy. I would have said, you're nuts. Are you crazy? What are you talking about? What have you been smoking? And then when I realized that is absolutely true, that there are species like reptilians that feed on our negative energy, then I got really angry. How dare they? And then it took me a long time to work through that and realize, well, wait a minute here. We create the world that we live in with our thought, words, and deeds. So what am I saying and doing that's bringing these types of beings into my energy field and letting them devour my negative energy when I can actually change my energy to positive, and then there's nothing to feed on. So how can I liberate myself, and how can I liberate other individuals? It became my mission, and then came creating the deep clearing protocol to help other people do it. And then the next step was to realize, hey, that isn't a case of good and bad guys. It's a case of waking up. And that these beings, as horrible as it may sound, are actually part of the process of us waking up and taking back our personal power and standing in our truth no matter what. And so the next step was then, okay, I get that, but that still doesn't mean that I want to run on the default program, which is the matrix of control. I want to learn how to become a sovereign being and teach other people to do that. And then the next step is, well, it's all right if I can reach hundreds and thousands, and my goal actually is to reach 1 million people. And in this combined goal of doing this clearing of the grid lines, we want to bring 1,000 people together to help us do this clearing action. So our goals are similar. We want to change the consciousness on the planet. And the way we do that is we work individually, but the real power for us is in the collective, is in when we join forces as a community of like-minded people, because the program of enslavement has always been done through ritual. It's always been done as a group. So unless we wake up and do group action ourselves, there's no way we're going to counter that force. So it's exciting work because it's all doable. We are in the midst of major change and transformation. I'm sure everybody can attest to the fact since the new year, this has been a bumpy ride. This has, been really quite amazing. I don't know about you, but the way that I showed up in the world and the way I did things no longer works in my way. It's really like a 360 degree or 180 degree shift in the way that I'm being asked to show up, or I literally get sick. So big changes afoot individually, in your family, in your workplace, and collectively on the planet. And so we want to support this transmutation. We want to bring about the new earth. And we feel that bringing 1,000 people together to use dowsing to clear would be one of the ways in which we can put some accelerator into this process. So did I get that right, Cindy?
Yeah, and I like to take the weight off of us, the WEIGHT that's sitting on our fields, on the Earth's fields. The grids are full. So if you think about it as a nesting doll, and the doll is, got all of the energy in and around it being filled up, and we're trying with all this light hitting the planet to find a balance, but unfortunately all our grids are heavy, they're full of weight, energetically speaking. Then all of us who are sensitive and all of us who are aware are getting hammered because this energy is all being vibrationally stirred, and we're the ones that feel it the first. So when I talk to the star seeds on the planet or the most sensitive empaths, they're the ones that are going down right now. And I'm like, okay, that just tells me we need to do some house cleaning. The dust is collected and the light is hitting the planet, but it's not getting through cleanly. It's not getting through without some interference or some struggle or the program going off of enslavement. And it's like, no, we didn't go into this to suffer. We came to transcend something. We came to watch transcendence. And I think we just need to, through our own will and our ability as sacred beings, to make pathways for the natural energies and frequencies of the universe to flow back into the planet and back into us to assist us through the transformation. All the dark hearts, all the negative beings that you mentioned, Tyhson, I know for a fact I've met them face to face. They too want to evolve, but they're also stuck in the grids. They're also stuck in the story and the negative timelines. And so I go, well, why did a whole bunch of us, all of you and a whole bunch of hopefully thousands more, incarnate on this planet at this time other than to assist? It wasn't to suffer, though we've got stuck in it. It's to get back to work from a place that is natural. I mean, we're all powerful beings. It's like, okay, let's do something about this. And I think dowsing, I know. I am in a lot of ceremony in my life. I'm a ceremonialist more than I'm anything else. But I know dowsing is a tool I can use anywhere, anytime to clear a field, to clear myself. And I go, okay, when I got the kick in the butt last fall to get to work, it was like, okay, I had to suffer through my own stuff to figure it out. And then now it's like, okay, collective work is easy. With 1,000 people, we can move millions of years of energy. 1,000 people is nothing. It doesn't, with our power and our grace moving mountains of energy, then suddenly the light floods in, and then what I would call is phase jumps take place, where timelines start to open up and new information starts to come in and people start to wake up, because the mainstream world is still asleep. And they're part of that default program. I love that word. I'm going to steal that from you, Tyhson.
Absolutely. Please do.
Yeah, the default program is causing damage to our loved ones, but it's also causing damage to the rest of our world. And so we've got to clear the defaults out, and not from a place of anger or fear, from a place of, we came to do this. We came to clear these fields so that we can live in the most opportune timeline that was prophesized. It was prophesized that we would evolve on this planet, that this planet was ready to shift frequencies and go up into another phase, another timeline. But it has to have some help. The collective, the human collective, needs help. And that's what we can do.
So we're hoping you're going to sign up, so to speak. And for those of you know the work that I'm doing, which is the deep clearing protocol, I'm pretty sure that Cindy and I will be creating a protocol for clearing the grid lines. And we were going to want you to do this individually, but also promote it to your network. And we are going to want to meet collectively and do it together. So let's talk a bit about your ideas about when would be a really good time to try and reach that 1,000 people. It's a pretty short timeline, but maybe it could be doable.
Well, I'd like to add that, I feel as this opens up and we start to share this with our own people, it's going to resonate with them, because it gives them hope and it gives them something to do in a very strange time, because we are kind of suffering at many levels. And it's like, well, what if we go at this? I think it's a resonance for all of us to go, we can do something. And I don't think it's going to take long. I think I was told intuitively that by August of this year, something very large could shift in the most positive of ways. And that's not far away. So I kind of go, all right, Tyhson showed up. Tyhson's been kind of following some stuff I've been doing, and in the backdrop going, we got to do some clearing work, you know. And I'm like, yeah, I know, I want to do that. I think the thing is, all of us need to understand that this benefits your life most importantly, but it'll benefit every single person you love that you haven't been able to help.
I was wondering, yeah, okay, Annette, go ahead. You have a question there.
Well, I was going to comment and say that since '92, I've been a dowser. And since 2012, trying to eradicate myself from someone who deposited something deep in the subconscious. I started then taking layer upon layer off, and I've written about that. That's the book that's coming out now. And as we take off layer and I go deeper and deeper since 2012, I've found that everything is connected to the spine and deeply into the chakras. So once you're removing the mechanisms and the grids and other things that you would possibly never imagine, you become clearer and it raises your vibration to the fifth dimension. And dowsing has helped me along the way to thwart off the negativity from a lot of things, you know who. And I don't think I could have lived without the dowsing. However, it is going deep into the layers of oneself that you really find your true self and really know and get rid of things. And I don't think a lot of the public knows that.
Yeah, I think, Annette, what you're going through is really what all of us are going through, maybe not at the same intensity as you are, and thank goodness for that. No disrespect, but nobody wants to be going through what you were going through. But you know, there's this polarity there is in my life where there's knowing that I'm an awesome human being and that I can manifest whatever I want into my life, and the ability to do that is, and Janet knows this, when automagically things that happen at the right time in the right place, it's just the divine flow. And then there's the part of me that has the trauma that I'm not good enough, that who do I think I am to show up, and blah, blah, blah. So there's always this duality, because the grid, the consciousness of the planet is so overwhelmingly negative that old program of fear, doubt, shame, good, that you're not good enough, that you have to, you know, compete to succeed, and you have to work hard, and all the Protestant word ethic, and you know, all this other crap is running and is our default. So right now it's taking so much energy to maintain the positive energy and stay out of the default. So when we go and start clearing out the default for everybody, it will be easier for every one of us and everybody on the planet to stay in the divine flow, to know and remember our true nature, and not be sucked into the planetary vortex of negativity. So this is the goal. But I really want to show that it's very much in our personal lives. It's not just something out there, it's inside of us.
We call it affinities in shamanism. So if you have many lifetimes as a healer, for example, and over many lifetimes you were taken out because you represented the threat of the powers that were trying to overthrow, that are still trying to overthrow, then you become the victim. Sometimes you're the perpetrator, and sometimes you're the rescuer in all of that scenario. And those stories get stored in your back, by the way. Shamanism always works in the back because all of our history is behind us, but it's also wired within our light field, which is tied into the back of the neck and the bottom of the spine. So the back is the storehouse of everything. And if your affinity is to attract darkness, for example, because you hold lots of light, then that affinity is personal. Okay, so that's a piece you guys got to hear. This is super important. We have a personal affinity. we also have family affinities, and then we have collective story. If your personal affinity is struggle with reptilians, for example, then what happens is, as we go through this shift, you're going to attract, with the broadcasts that you're sending out, the timeline you're living in, all of these reptilian interactions. And not one of us have the same affinities. Not one of us has the same storyline, but it's still going off. And as this energy hits this planet and all these stories get activated, our affinities start to broadcast louder. We start to attract more, if that makes any sense. And those timelines start to get agitated, and all of this information starts to get mucky. And then it gets self-perpetuating within our own lives. So the number one thing is to do your clearing, as you say, Annette, but also to recognize that you're a clearer for the collective if that's your story. Because you're awake and aware, and you're a powerful being, so you got called to do this work, not just for yourself, your family, your loved ones, your enemies, also the collective. So I say to people, we're going to do some big clearing on themes, because we've got some big collective themes we've got to go at. Shame, guilt. What were the other ones, Tyson, you mentioned?
Shame, guilt, not good enough, those are the big ones.
Yeah, and anger, the emotional sides of it. All of that stuff can get cleared at the collective level. And then what that does is it takes pressure off of us and the collective so that we can expand more naturally. So it's kind of going at the viruses in the hard drive of this world.
Great. So any questions? Is this making sense to people? Like, do people understand how does emotion that comes from trauma, war, pestilence get locked into the grid? Do people understand that it can get locked into the water courses on the planet, and that can get locked into the crystalline matrix? Because the matrix of a crystal and a human are very, very close together. And seeing as we're mostly part of us is 90% water, part of us 70% water, when our trauma affects the collective water on the planet too, so it's all embodied in the water. So every time you drink this water, if you don't clear it, you're collecting that karmic background of that water. So for example, to use an example, if you were drinking bottled water from Walmart, then that water has every person's energy that walked past that container in Walmart, plus all of the greed of Nestle's, whoever say it was Nestle's, who bought it, who doesn't give a shit's rat ass about your health and well-being, but wants to make a profit. So all that profit and greed is in it. And all the trucking company and all the rest of it, and the angry citizens because the water is being taken from their underground aquifer without Nestle paying for it. I don't want to just pick on Nestle, but you get the point. All that is in the water, and that you're going to want to clear it. So this is how water and crystalline structures carry emotional trauma. Now think of a war zone, like let's go to Jerusalem, where they say that, the end times is going to happen in Jerusalem. Now think of that as a vortex where all the energy lines come together, and how much trauma has happened in there century after century, invasion after invasion, Holocaust after Holocaust, that has happened on that land. All that is in burden. So even to bring about peace in the Middle East, you have all that energy locked into the grid lines and into the vortexes that need to be cleared. So this is really the work that I feel called to do, which is going to be the Earth Star project, which is clearing all the vortices and ley lines on the planet. So that's where we come together, Cindy and myself. We have a similar agenda, bringing together groups of people to learn how to do this. And the mastermind group I want to bring together, we will literally have the opportunity to travel to these places and clear them in person and to clear them at a distance. So the first step here, though, is collectively through our networks and your networks, those listening to us, we want to have 1,000 people do the clearing protocol, and we'd really like to do it at a set time, right, Cindy? Is that what you have in mind? So why don't you talk about that?
Well, I think we'll go, the first one we'll try, not try, but succeed at would be the equinox on the 20th of March, because it's full moon. So it's very rare you get an equinox and a full moon at the same time. And I know that the dark hearts on the planet go at it that day. So I go, well, let's go at it too. And let's just assure ourselves that we're more back in balance and release everything that impacts all of us and our families and our loved ones. And then we'll also go at it at collective level. So I think it's a twofold approach. We always do work for ourselves first and then for the bigger picture. So I'd like to do that on the 20th in the evening if we can, because that way people are home from work and we can just gather some momentum. And then I want to sit back from that experience and go, okay, what do we need to change? Is there anything we need to tend to that we missed? You know, I want to make sure we're doing this consistently, because like I said, as we release energy, we're going to have more information come in.
Yeah, more, you'll receive more, we'll receive more guidance.
Yes.
The next step, both Cindy and myself and you collectively will be receiving guidance.
Yeah.
So it's that pooling of guidance we want too. It's not, that's part of this whole concept of the masterminding of this, as everybody receive a part of the puzzle. So we want you to communicate what you're receiving because it's part of the greater whole. It's not as though either one of us is getting at the full ground blown picture. Each one of us, because we're being taught that the power is in the collective, in working together, not as individuals. Yes, we can do all sorts of different work and clear ourselves individually, but the power is in the group. So we need to learn how to work as a group.
And I think during each setting that we do this, we're going to put some time in that protocol to allow each of us to do our own individual guidance. You know, some of you might be guided to work with the mountains. Some of you might be guided to be working with the spaces where children are. You know, some may be guided to work where there's lots of animals that are suffering. Like exactly the fact that we all get a piece of that information, and then during the protocol that we're putting together as a collective, as a big group, we get to tend with the support of the group to the areas that we're called to work on. And so can you imagine 1,000 people going at all these different grid parts that need healing, and one pebble, 1,000 people, and how those waves go out? That's the miracles. That's the time of miracles. And the more we can do this, the more we tend to the things that are important to us as well, right? Each of us has our own passion about something and our own desire for this planet. We're all snowflakes. And so it's been time to do this. I follow Marshall Summers' work, and it came to me just out of the blue in January, and he's about unifying humanity back into a sovereign race, because we have been mucked with by the alien agenda, is how he puts it. But he talks about, and this is what we're doing. This is exactly what we're talking about. He said that we cannot prove we are galactic citizens and will not evolve into a galactic planet until we prove that we are capable of working together to do the bigger work. And so we've been so individually minded with all the struggle and grid system problems that we couldn't get out, but it's time to do this, where, you know, the expansion is happening. And I think that it's very, very cool to include all of you and to help weave together the new timeline. This is what we're doing.
So imagine in the first go around, as we work towards 1,000 people, that your particular aspect of clearing that you want, maybe it's with, you know, with the horses on the planet or the wild horses or whatever, and you put that into the group, then you're going to have 1,000 people helping you do your individual area of clearing of the grid or your intention where you want some assistance from. So this is really exciting. We get to help each other manifest into reality what's dear to us in our own heart. So yeah, I really look forward to this. So
me too. I'm honored to be here with all of you. I mean, I feel so honored and grateful. I'm emotional when I say that. To sit with people who care, who want better for this planet, who want better for themselves, who want better for everyone. That's the global mission of coming together as a unified human being who connects to different cosmovision in their own way, but still wants the betterment for all. And we all can do that with our own light and our own grid system and our own divine souls. It's a momentous time to be doing this work, and if we can ride this, I don't say if I can, if we ride this wave, we will create miracles. I know it.
It's really important to do your piece of the puzzle. So for example, this is the healing hour. I tried to go live on Facebook, and for some reason, with divine intervention, well, I wasn't allowed to do that. The people that are on this call today are from a personal invitation that I sent you through Messenger. Those are the people that showed up. I think it's really clear that we need to invite people, that you as individuals need to take on the job of personally inviting people through Messenger or through email or through your tribe. It can't be just an open Facebook, hey, we're having a healing hour, show up if you want to. I think this is so important. It's a personal invitation. Hey, I'm doing this. I think it's important that you show up. That is really going to carry the day and help bring this about. So help us reach this 1,000 people as the first step. My goal is 1 million, but I'm more than willing to start with the first 1,000.
Annette, you're waving.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people, excuse me for saying this, are open enough or know enough to participate in this conversation. I really don't think so, because I talk to people that I think are healers, and I'm talking about grids, and they look like, what is that? And I said, well, what? And it's just experience. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I just maybe think that if you gave them a book to read about it, they would say, oh yeah, that's so. But they need to know more about it on a universal note.
Well, I guess we got even more work to do then.
Yeah, Tyson and I are going to have a meeting tomorrow. So that is, I think you're right. We need to educate. And how I love the matrix example, because I use that one all the time too, you guys, is that there is a program running and we are tied to it. And the program is getting old and tiring because we're all trying to survive. And what if, we don't have to get technical, what if we can dissolve that program?
And the beautiful part of this, and I have to go find out, this has all been guided. So us having this conversation comes from a lot of work that I've been guided to through articles that have been presented to me and video and all the rest in the background. And one of them is talking about, and I don't even know the words I can describe it, but beyond the collective enslavement paradigm that's running, or that matrix, is let's call it the universal or the multiverse matrix, which is free and clear, which we can tap into. So it's not just a case of erasing or getting past or climbing over or blasting through the existing matrix. It's going to dissolve when we can learn how to connect, literally jump over it and connect to the universal matrix, which is unlimited abundance, universal peace. And at that matrix level, we are already part of the, what would you call it? The planetary, what's the name of it? The group of planets that have come together. The first condition is universal peace on their planet. So that group already exists, and we've already been emitted on one plane of dimension. We just haven't manifested it down to the third dimension. And why do I know that? I know this sounds crazy, but let's be crazy for a moment, because I had a time jump forward where, as part of that delegation, presenting the credentials for planet Earth, and we've made it. So I have every hope that we will make it. That doesn't mean we don't have a lot of work to do in the meantime.
Well, I think we have a lot less work to do when we work together.
Absolutely.
I think that that's why we're being called to do this, Tyhson, because when we both met, you had asked me about working together on a collective idea, and it didn't sync up yet. But I think it was, no, I agree with you. We've had a little bit of a blip in the New Age community that we never travel down a place we haven't been invited. And you said, no, we go into those places and clean house. And I immediately resonated with that, because I know that people have gone into houses and places they shouldn't have gone and done not such positive stuff. So I go, no, that's a program that doesn't work anymore either. It's never that we can set attachment to where we're going. We don't have a right to play God. What we have a right to do is be free, sovereign, well, healthy, balanced, loving, peace-filled, joyous, all of these things in those galactic timelines that you're talking about, and opening doors to that. That has always been running that timeline. It's a broadcast. It's a radio station, right?
Yeah, and it's powerful. Yeah, the Galactic Federation is broadcasting that to the whole multiverse, right?
Yeah.
So whenever a planet or a race or an individual can tune into it, you've got, what would you call it? What's collect your $500, right? And pass go. I mean, you've got a free pass. I mean, you're just there, right? It's automatic.
Well, and I have a teacher from Peru who sits with very powerful spirits that manifest in form. Just so you know, I've been there when it's happened, and they're six-dimensional spirits, and they're here to help humanity, but only when we ask. And they work through medicine. They work through the shaman and the elders, and they remind us that we are the creators of our reality, and we are due for an upgrade. That's the words they use.
Yay.
And so the upgrade is connected to what they call a sun evolutionary time. So the sun evolves into another frequency, the earth evolves. So the earth is going to evolve, and it's either going to go easy for us or not, depending on how clear we are. And I'm like, I actually don't want to do it hard. I don't think it has to be hard anymore. I got all my lessons of learning. Thank you very much. I would like to do it easy. I would like to be here for ease. And I think all of us have felt that. We have all had moments of bliss in our own teachings, our own time. Maybe we've sat in ceremony. Maybe we've been with a beloved angel we met. Maybe someone just said something to us and it opened up that truth. So I know it's available. It's just, we got to clear house. It's time to clear house.
Time to clear house.
Yeah, so Annette's shaking her hand again.
It was, as the further, this may just be my, because you were right, because this one individual had a lot of darkness behind them. And so as the further I went down to clear with layers, are you all familiar with layers and what I'm talking about? As I further went down, that there was a stream of negativity, a negative stream that says, I will allow you to have this and this and this if you pay attention to me. So it could just be my case that has occurred, but the further I went down over years of doing this is the stream of energy I found in the deepest layer.
Oh, absolutely. So, I mean, Jehovah, the God Jehovah, is on that bandwidth too. I mean, you do what you're told, or hellfire and damnation is going to rain down on your head and all your descendants and their descendants. So, this is what we've been taught, that you toe the line according to the lesser gods, or you will be punished. And that's the grid, that's the matrix of bondage. That's what it's all about. On
And
every
it's been
level, all the
installed.
way up and all the way down on the negative. It just gets darker and darker the more control. So that at the bottom of it, you get so far away that you have to commit satanic rituals in order to feel that you're alive, because that's how dark you are. So yes, there's steps all the way down the ladder, but at some point you have to turn the corner and come back. I mean, even the worst of the worst, as Cindy said, is looking for the light.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I have found the light. Yeah, I'm happy. But then when I feel like I still have to root out this individual and find where they dropped this portal. And I'm looking for this portal to seal it up with golden seal, and I can't find the portal. So it makes me go deeper to find it.
Well, okay, but I wrote a book about timelines. And so in one timeline you exist, you have become a victim to an overlord. That's going to be the easiest, simplest way. That may be inaccurate, but just stay with me for a minute. But there's also a timeline where you overcame an overlord. And there's also a timeline when you never met an overlord. And so the question is, if your operating system is, I'm still stuck here, then you're still in the timeline of disempowerment. What if you shifted the timelines by changing the broadcast every day, by simplifying your dedication to what timeline you are going to operate in? And in my timeline today, I am absolutely sovereign without any interference. There is nothing that affects me, nothing that can take from me, and nothing that takes my power away. I am free, I am divine, and nothing touches me. And I would declare that myself with a very powerful altar, an invocation. I would write it down, I would light a candle every day, and I would fry anything that comes at me. Because the stories of being stuck means you're still staying in that timeline. You have to declare a different timeline. You have to do your healing work, you have to do your dowsing work, but you can open the doors to that other timeline because they exist. You cannot have one without the other.
Right.
So
right.
I'm all about declaration. I am all about declaration. And I say this with love, but nothing F's with me. Nothing. And when it does, I handle it from a declaration place. Out. No more. No more games. And I utilize the power of my voice and the land, because the land does not know that story. The land has, the grids around the earth have been stored with that, but the land only knows fertility. So I would carry a stone, not a crystal, a stone with me that represents my power from a place I picked it up from. So you have to start to manage. That's what my book is about, managing your timelines. Because your story, what has happened, has made you a powerful being. Don't allow that story to continue to take from your power. Take your power back. My teacher would say, I love him. He was so defining and so simple. He would say, stop arguing for your limitations.
It seems like I'm looking at, I flip over to the other timeline. I see them parallel going. And the other timeline is prosperous and wonderful. And how I somehow slip back to this one.
Well, because somehow it's drawing you. Somehow it calls to you. And I say, feed the beast. Get an altar going.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
you don't need to suffer through this enough.
Mm-mm.
You
You've
know?
already done I can attest that you've suffered enough.
Yeah.
You've got the gold stars of suffering, and enough of this bullshit.
Yeah. And I think that we all, by the way, Annette, may I add to that, that we all have those beasts seeking us out right now playing the game. Are we going to go to the old timeline or the new timeline? And I think now is time for the new timeline. And so I look at the beasts, they've shown up in my life in the last month with something dramatic that happened. And it rocked me for very little time, less than a day. And then it was like, no, sorry, done with that game. Done.
Yeah, I
So
find it humorous because I'm a sovereign human being, but I have a virus flu that has been kicking my butt for almost 2 months now. So it comes in all sorts of various forms to remind you that, hey, you think you cleared, but there's some more level on the onion to go deeper, to become even more sovereign. So
yeah.
it's sort of a never ending game, but it's a game where it doesn't have to be as difficult as it is for you, Annette. I mean, enough already.
No,
You've been down that road too long.
too long. Yes, I agree.
Yeah. So maybe 1,000 people while we're doing this, maybe not before then, but when we get 1,000 or 500, whenever you feel guided to do it, trust your guidance, is holding a vigil together. You go after that story at a collective level, not a personal level. And you say, I release all this story around, if it's an overlord, for example, this story is done. We release it from the collective now.
Which is a
Now.
really nice adjunct to what we're doing, is we're not only clearing the grids, but 1,000 of us can really turn around and kick the butt of individual overlords or trauma that is going on in each person's life, if they're brave enough to put up in their hand and say, hey, I'm willing to clear. And we'll step in with 1,000 people and clear them. Why not?
And ask for healing for that we release.
Right.
Because again, we are not just making something wrong. Something is calling for help in a very interesting way.
All right.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think let's keep in touch on this. I think that Tyhson and I will both talk tomorrow, and we can put some details together, and then we'll put out, I like the invitation idea.
All right, it looks like we're down to a few people, but Janet, you haven't had a chance to say anything yet.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm really honored.
Yeah, it's great to have you here, and it seems very timely for you to show up for this.
Because I've just been waiting for like further instructions to show up. And I can see my place in the puzzle.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. It's more of a grounding energy.
Yeah.
A whole space for people, like making sure before we do the clearing that we're all connected, like heart to heart, and we're working as a collective.
Right.
Okay? And any of the scattering that's happening, like grounding.
Right.
And what was very, very cool when you were talking about like it being personal, like the affinity, the personal affinity.
Yeah.
There's so much research that I've been doing lately in different healing, clearing techniques, like especially for people that have had like chronic trauma. Okay. And one technique is actually called non-personal awareness. Okay. And I'd be happy to show you how to do it if you like, but it's, I guess the analogy, I think part of it is like the bandwidth to be able to hold the intensity, like for like in the body, so just for us, our bodies to just feel safe when we're doing this. And a lot of the people that have like childhood trauma, they've learned coping techniques and patterns that have kept them safe. And it's so important to be able to be clear and before we go through that, and to know that we're safe when we're doing it. So I'm pretty sure that's where I see I fit in.
And what if that's the same for the planet? What if there's so much trauma for the planet that the true or the new Earth is disassociated
Damn
from the
straight.
physical body, the third dimension, because it's not safe for her to show up yet.
As
But she's
above, as
already
below,
present.
right?
But
You have to change one drop,
exactly.
water drop. One water drop tells the whole everything. One, just to be clear, to be calm. And what
That's
you're
right.
talking well, and like, okay, the other place where I'm a connector, and like, there's so many people that are trying to get people to do things collectively. I introduced you to one, Nick. I don't know if you had a chance to talk to him, but he's into the Tao as well. Okay, and like, he was an emergency physician, and then 2 years ago, he and his family started traveling in a Winnebago and just doing these meditations and that. So there's him, like, even the Virgin Mary's starting to do broadcasts now. The rosary's going up. So everybody's doing it, but we're not all grouped together. So I can see me holding space, and I can see me inviting other people. But
Right.
those two
Yeah,
things.
we're all doing this. There's even groups doing it that I'm involved in. So letting everybody in the groups know that, hey, if we can bring the groups of groups together is pretty exciting as well.
You bring David's team in, like, holy smoke, like,
Right.
yeah, wow, yeah.
All right. Well, we're near the top of the
Yep,
hour. We
we
start.
are.
Anything you'd like to end off with, Cindy?
No, I just feel like whatever ideas come to you, maybe jot them down. I think that when we get the large volume of people in, then we'll need to have like our own time to focus on the very specifics that we're guided to work on. And you and I can talk tomorrow. We have a meeting at 10 o'clock your time, 11 mine, and we can discuss the protocol that we can set up. And then I think we'll aim for the 20th if that works. And so just stay tuned to Tyson's. He's your go-to, and I'll be doing my own promotion, and then we'll start weaving together the different groups. Groups that I work with are very shamanically based, aware of shamanism and matrix oriented people. So
All right. Sounds good.
I
So,
look forward to working with all of you. It's exciting.
all right. So this is Tyhson Banighen. This was the Healing Hour. I am the Illuminator, helping bring you and humanity in the light. Thank you, Cindy, for showing up and starting this ball rolling on this exciting project. We're back, same time, same place, every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, which is 6 p.m. Eastern. I don't know. Is daylight in the East? I don't know. Do you guys have any daylight back there, or are you still in the dark? Anyway.
We're okay. We're okay.
And so 6 o'clock back east, same place, same time. Until then, be healthy, wealthy, and wise. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
The Healing Hour, brought to you every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific Time or 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. During the show, you can phone in toll-free in North America, 1-866-369-7464 or 1-866-Dowsing. The Healing Hour is live on Facebook, hosted by the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy and sponsored by the Facebook page, The Healing Arts Academy. Produced by The Wellness Show, and until next Tuesday, same time, same place, be healthy, wealthy, and wise.